Welcome to Walking Tall, Talking Bold. I'm Leah, and today we're diving into a quiet truth that a lot of us deal with. Sometimes success looks incredible on paper, but it still feels strangely empty. You check every box, collect every milestone, and then nothing. You aren't broken and you aren't failing, you're just not full. If that lands a little too close to home, trust me, you are not alone. There are some very real psychological and social forces that shape what we chase and how it actually feels when we get it. We get caught in comparison spirals, we deal with constantly moving goalposts, and we mistake should-dos for actual dreams. So today, let's unpack why having it all can still feel like not enough, and how we can rewire what enough actually means. When a big win doesn't hit the way we expected, it's usually because we've accidentally hopped onto the hedonic treadmill. It's just how our brains are wired. We normalize upgrades incredibly fast. You hit a goal, you get that quick hit of dopamine, and then almost instantly, your baseline resets and the target jumps further ahead. That's not you being ungrateful. It's just a known cognitive pattern. On top of that, we are handed these social scripts from day one. Family, school, media, work, they all give us this efficient, orderly template for a good life. But when we follow that template too tightly, it crowds out our own authorship. Achievement starts to feel like we're putting on a performance rather than actually becoming who we are. Because we're wired for social belonging, we are constantly scanning the room to see where we rank. We live in a massive comparison culture, and online, the sample size is totally skewed toward everyone's highlight reels. Even our genuine wins start to shrink when we place them next to someone else's curated excellence. Think about it. Rewards like titles, salaries, and applause are clear and measurable, so we naturally over-index on them. Meanwhile, internal rewards like peace, meaning, and alignment are fuzzier and take longer to develop. If measurement drives our attention, we end up chasing what's countable and completely neglecting what's nourishing. We lock ourselves into an identity too early, telling ourselves, I'm the achiever or I'm the dependable one. That boxes us out of experimenting. Success inside a narrow identity might give you safety, but it rarely gives you aliveness. Now, this isn't an anti-ambition message. It's a pro-alignment one. The goal here is to shift from performing success to actually experiencing it. We can completely rewrite what success looks like without burning our lives down. It starts by focusing less on the final outcome and more on our daily orientation. We can keep our goals, but let's hold them as directions, not definitions. Ask yourself, is the way I'm moving today consistent with my values and my energy? We need to move our goals away from what looks best on paper and toward what actually fits us. Psychology shows we stick with behaviors that match our actual temperament and context. So choose vehicles that match your rhythm, not just your professional profile. Ladders only have one direction and one metric. Landscapes, on the other hand, have many paths and all kinds of progress, depth, craft, contribution, and connection. I remember finishing my first college degree. On paper, it was the exact moment I had been working toward through all the late nights, job, the grind, and the grit. That diploma should have felt like fireworks. Instead, as graduation got closer, the feeling just got quieter. I wasn't flooded with pride. I just felt flat. No doors were magically opening, and while the congratulations were kind, they didn't really move me. I actually skipped the ceremony entirely. So I did what high achievers do when enough doesn't feel like enough. I raised the ceiling. I enrolled in a master's program. Then I got more certifications. My logic was simple. Maybe I just hadn't climbed high enough yet. Now, some of those choices absolutely paid off. I used my master's in human resource management for years, and I genuinely loved that work. But a few of those other degrees, they just lived on a shelf, like artifacts of who I thought I was supposed to be. I was competent, I was respected, but I was not peaceful. Over time, I started doing regular check-ins with myself. It wasn't a crisis, just a gentle audit. I'd ask, who am I right now? What actually lifts my energy? What am I chasing because it's mine? And what am I chasing just because it photographs well? One of the answers really surprised me. I wanted to write a book. Teenage me had pictured it, but adult me kept postponing it in the name of perfection. I studied the craft, I rewrote chapters, and I constantly chased this ever-receding standard of good enough. At some point, I heard my own advice that I always give to other people to get out of your comfort zone, and I realized my specific comfort zone was endless polishing. So I just published it, and then I did the most out-of-character thing ever. I didn't even check the listing for a while. When I finally looked, I realized I had uploaded the wrong file. It was a rough draft. Cue the absolute panic, right? But here's the twist. I still felt incredibly proud. Not because it was flawless, it obviously wasn't, but because I'd finally crossed the line between performing and participating. A few kind reviews showed up. A few 2- and 3-star reviews reminded me the world didn't end, and the feeling that stayed with me was pure relief and joy. Hitting submit created so much more aliveness than a perfect plan sitting in a hidden folder. That experience didn't erase my career pride or the value of my education. It just exposed the massive difference between success that is visible and success that is vital. So, how do we actually fill that empty space and change the feel of achievement? It comes down to a few core shifts in how we operate. First, we have to look at our motives. If your why is mostly external, like status, safety, or approval, you're always going to hit your goals and still feel underfed. We need to re-anchor a portion of our goals to intrinsic drivers like curiosity, mastery, service, or play. We also have to stop over-indexing on productivity. When your worth equals your output, rest starts to feel like failure and joy feels unearned. We need to actively protect activities that have absolutely no scoreboard. Paradoxically, letting your brain play actually improves the quality of your work anyway. We also have to drop the perfectionism paralysis. Perfection promises control, but it really just delivers delay. Behavioral science shows that small, visible wins are what reinforce our identity. So stop waiting for it to be perfect before you share it with the world, and let the feedback be the teacher you've been waiting for. What we're really looking for here is coherence, that beautiful state where your values, your calendar, and your body are all telling the same story. You don't need a brand new life. You just need fewer contradictions. Try trading one impressive commitment for one truly aligned commitment. And finally, we have to manage the social comparison overload. Curate your inputs. Mute the accounts that trigger those performative goals, and start following the builders who share their messy process, not just their trophies. Design your own version of normal. To make this practical, you can start using a few simple habits. Try defining what a full week looks like for you in just one sentence. For example, a full week looks like X hours of focused work, one act of service, one thing I made, and time with people who make me laugh. If you can't define it, you can't steer toward it. Next, start setting dual metrics for your big goals. Give every major milestone an achievement metric, the what, and a vitality metric, the how it should feel. If you're launching a new program, your vitality metric might be maintaining 2 completely unplugged evenings a week. Real success requires both. I also highly recommend adding what I call a handmade win to your week. Create one thing from end to end, whether that's an essay, a sketch, a pot of soup, a playlist, or a garden bed. Finishing a tangible project builds a sense of agency that professional titles just can't touch. Before you say yes to new opportunities, run a quick why review. Ask yourself, is this about approval or alignment? If it's for approval, pause for 24 hours before answering. If it's alignment, get it on the schedule. And through it all, celebrate the process, not just the peaks. Acknowledge the daily reps, the difficult conversations you survived, the drafts you shipped, the workouts you finished. That's how your brain learns that aliveness is available to you every single day, not just when you're standing at the summit. As you move forward, keep your competence, keep your ambition, keep the relationships and the routines that make you feel sturdy, but start to question the parts of your story that only make sense on a professional summary. Question the rules that say everything meaningful has to be monetized. Question the belief that your work owes you constant burning passion. Sometimes good work is simply honest, useful, and finite, and that is more than okay. If there is something quietly whispering to you right now, try it out on a small scale. Not someday, this month, this week, or even this hour. Tiny experiments will always beat grand reinventions. You don't have to abandon success to feel successful. You just need to bring your whole self back into the equation, your values, your voice, and your own velocity. If the wind feels empty, it's not a personal defect. It's just a signal. Realign, don't retreat. Walk tall into what fits you and talk bold about what lights you up. I'm Leah, and this has been Walking Tall, Talking Bold. If this conversation sparks something for you today, take just one imperfect action in the next 24 hours. Don't do it for the applause, do it for the aliveness. I'll see you next time.